Hi, and welcome to a new episode of a new style of photography, episode 2. If you haven't seen episode 1, I will link it right here. Make sure you check that out so you can understand why we are doing all this. But today is going to be a really fun one because we will be talking about the gear right now. So the gear that I'm using for Saturday, I'm gonna start off with my main camera, my main workhorse of a camera, which is one that I've been using for many months now. I think 8 months now since I've switched over to mirrorless, but this is the Canon R5. I absolutely love this camera when it comes down to photography. There's practically nothing that I have to complain about it. It is lightning fast. Its autofocus is insanely sharp. The images it produces at 45 megapixels is unreal. Currently, I cannot ask for a better camera. I was thinking about renting the Canon R3, which is the full flagship camera for Canon for mirrorless currently. But for Saturday, the thing is, the differences between the R3 and the R5, that is the main put off why I didn't want to rent the R3 is because the R5 shoots in 45 megapixels and it's very hard to give it up because the R3 shoots in like 24, 28, which isn't bad. But when you have 45 megapixels, you have a ton of flexibility to crop in post to make horizontal shots, vertical, and there's just so much more creative uses for having higher megapixel counts images, which is why I'm just gonna stick with what I have. So R5, which is shooting right now for the main studio shot. But in terms of lenses, I'll also be using the classic macro lens, 100mm f2.8. This one is also has an adapter for the older lenses, the EF lenses. So the reason why macro lens, of course you already know the answer, is because board games. I definitely want to get some macro shots in there with maybe perhaps people holding cars. So I really want to get close up and show all those detailed shots. Secondly, the next lens I'm also going to be shooting with is probably my main one that I'll be using, which is the Canon RF 15-35 f2.8 mirrorless lens. An incredible lens. I didn't even think I was going to like this lens until I started using it myself for both video and photo. I'm going to use that for a ton of wide angle shots. So a lot of the big table shots where I'm getting a ton of players in the frame, probably even ones where I'm kind of over their shoulder and then showing the whole landscape of the board game's setup. That's going to be done with this lens. The third lens, my next workhorse of a lens, one that never ever leaves my camera kit ever, especially for portraiture. This very expensive Canon 85mm f1.2. This is the most expensive lens in my toolkit, but also a buttery smooth lens. If you want bokeh, this is a lens for that. So this is going to be more for isolation shots. If I'm having a model by themselves, kind of contemplating and thinking about their next action, the next move, this is going to be the lens for that. I could probably fit 2 or 3 models, maybe if I stand very far away, but this is probably going to be my second most used lens. First used is the one I just mentioned, which was the 15-35. So those are the 3 lenses in my toolkit. I talked about my A camera and my B camera, which are both Canon R5s. My C camera, which is going to be in charge of doing all the time lapses and I think the BTS as well, some BTS. The Canon 80D, one I've talked about for a very long time. This was my very first camera. It has stuck with me and it's still being used today. I also don't have another C camera other than the 80D, so this will do for now. But it should be fine. The 80D has been great. Like I said, I've shot like my first 100 videos on the YouTube channel with this camera alone, so it'll be fine. I also have Josh, which is my friend controlling the camera as well that day, do some time lapses, do some close-up shots, do some vlog shots. So this is going to be overall BTS camera paired with the Canon 24-70. Now this is one I wanted to make a video about for quite some time because it is so versatile. I ended up using this for a ton of tutorials and it's a lot sharper than I thought. I didn't want to use this at first because I thought it was just going to be a flat image, it being a zoom lens, but it's actually really nice and I love this lens. This one definitely grew on me. So the 24-70, a great starter lens, it's a great zoom lens and it is surprisingly sharp for being a zoom lens. I wouldn't say that it is as sharp as a prime lens with it being the EF lenses. The older lenses, the EF lenses, their comparability for zoom lenses are nowhere near prime lenses in that time. However, with the 15-35, which is the one shooting on now, the sharpness of that easily matches prime lenses. So the gray area between prime lenses and the zoom lenses is getting blurred real fast with the new mirrorless lenses. So this paired with the 80D will be my BTS camera setup. Top of that, we need to capture some audio. So I'm gonna have the Rode VideoMic Pro Plus attached to the 80D as well. I was thinking about getting a lav mic that day, but I'm not totally sure on how I can rig up 2 different audio setups for a camera. So I'm just gonna stick with this, make it simple. And on top of that, for lav mics, it would only pick up my voice primarily, but I wanted to pick up everyone's voices that day, get everyone to chime in for the video. So I'll have this one just paired up with the 80D, make it simple. Okay, so those are the cameras. Now, arguably what is going to be one of the most important things in this box. So before I show you what's inside this mysterious box that I know you are just antsy to see, the reason why I am getting this particular thing is because when you are shooting with people and you have a full-on team, you do not want to depend on the weather or natural light. As much as I love natural light, as much as like pretty much all of my lifestyle photos previously have depended on natural light, you can't do that when you have a team and when you have one designated day. That is just a ticking time bomb for bad things to happen. So that's why you need to bring in artificial light. I'm going to bring in my Aperture 120D, which is the light that is illuminating my studio shot right now. But this is something that I've wanted for a very, very long time. So this is the Westcott FJ400. It is a flash and it is a very, very nice flash. If you ever heard of Manny Ortiz, he is one of my biggest role models as a photographer. He uses this flash, so you know what, I'm gonna use his flash as well. I also got his light dome, or like what they also call a beauty dish, which helps diffuse the light better as well. That's coming in very, very soon. So this paired with the light dome, also paired with the remote in order for you to control everything nice and succinct that day. That is going to be the core of the lighting setup for those shots on Saturday. But like I said, this is full production quality, so it's not just going to be the light, but I'm also going to have a reflector that day as well. So that one, I'll have my quote camera assistants help me out with that. They'll like point it to different models depending on who we're shooting that day. And then also we'll have, like I said, my 120D. I'll have the GVM lights. I'll link to a video up there talking about all the lights that I use. I'm pretty much bringing my entire studio up to the set that day as well. So we're gonna have fill lights, we're gonna have backlights, we're gonna have hair lights, we're gonna have the whole shebang to make sure these photos come out as nicely as possible. This right here is the key to that setup. So I'm gonna be spending today and the rest of tomorrow learning that flash system, make sure I know how to use everything to the T. In terms of other pieces of gear, I might also bring the spotlight. Like I said, check out that video to see the videos, but I'm probably gonna bring the spotlight as well in case I wanna highlight if they're holding cards in their hand, in case I wanna highlight like the cards that they're currently holding, and spotlight's going to be perfect for that. And to wrap up this gear video, there are also some other miscellaneous things that you should really be conscious of as well when you're planning a shoot, aside from camera, lighting equipment, and all that good stuff. It's the accessories that you also have to pay attention to. Extra batteries, which I have, chargers, which is of course going to be very, very important, especially if you're shooting all day for it. 8 hours, you're gonna need batteries for all 8 hours and chargers to, you know, do all that. I'm also going to bring gaffer tape, painter's tape, whatever kind of tape you wanna use. Typically people will use gaffer's tape for lighting equipment because you don't get any kind of residue when you're taping to your camera. Not that I'm anticipating taping my camera to anything, but you never know when you need tape on set, especially when you're doing levitating shots. So I always bring some form of tape. I bought gaffer tape, which is going to be my first time using it, but like I said, it's a very important shoot, so I want the best equipment possible to make sure I can do my best job that day. And then on top of gaffer's tape and batteries, you will also need an SD card. I bought like 4 more SD cards to make sure that we have enough space and storage that day. Last thing you want to do on set or on a shoot at all is to run out of space, so definitely need to have that. It's overkill. I'm probably only gonna end up using maybe 2 cards maximum, but I'll have 2 SD cards. I was thinking about getting a CF Express card, which is the card that you need in order to record very, very fancy video. In order for you to record 4K 120 or 8K video, you need that specific card, but that card is like $300 versus an SD card, which is like 30 bucks. So of course I'm gonna opt out for the 30 bucks one, and I got like 3-4 more of those just in case as an extra measure to make sure that I have everything that I need that day. And last and final thing is these sound blankets. So that's not going to be for sound or moving blankets, whatever you want to call them. They are blankets that you put on the floor. And the reason for that is because some of the rules for this particular set, because people are living in this home and they're renting it out for, you know, different days. You want to make sure I am respectful of their home and their floors. So I'm gonna bring blankets, that way I can put all of the gear, all the metal stuff that won't scratch their floors. Keep the blankets on the floor, put gear on top of that, and make sure it is A-okay for the set and taking care of everyone and anything that I am using. And that should be it for the gear in terms of cameras, lighting equipment, random accessories, miscellaneous items for Saturday. That should be everything that I need. If there are any changes from now until Saturday, of course you will see those changes. I might be using a tripod. I highly doubt it. I typically don't like shooting with tripods at all unless I'm shooting in low light. We're gonna have plenty of light that day, so it's going to be a-okay. I hope. So thank you all so much for joining me for episode 2. Let me know down in the comments below if you have any questions about any of the gear that I'm using. If you have any questions about like the reason why I'm using certain types of gear, if you want me to explain a little more of the technical jargon, I am here for you. So let me know down in the comments below. And with that, I will see you all in episode 3, which is going to be episode 3, planning poses and learning the games. Another vital part to this 5-episode process. So thank you all so much for being here, and I'll see you all tomorrow.